evening, everyone. We have quite a program here tonight. My name is Ann LeClaire. I'm President and CEO of the San Mateo County Silicon Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau. It's a big night for inductees tonight, and I'm always impressed with the dedication, the discipline, and the vision of all the athletes and the coaches that we honor every year. It's one of the most touching events ever. So why did a Convention and Visitors Bureau become involved in a Sports Hall of Fame? Doesn't seem like a fit. It broke our hearts years ago when the San Mateo County Times gave up the event. The Times went under, the event stopped, and John Horrigan's an old friend. John started the event years ago. And I gave him a call and I said, John, what would you think if we resurrected the event? You know, sports are so important. There are so many great people. He said, awesome. If you take it on, I'm on board with the judging. So we resurrected it, and one of the sidebars is that we do book sporting events. We try and fill our hotel rooms, put heads in beds. So we always try and say, you're a sporting audience, you're top of the game, and let us know. If you know of a sporting event, you want to bring a group in, we're happy to help you, but really it's a labor of love for us. So we're happy to have you all here tonight. I'd like to recognize a past chair of our Convention Visitors Bureau, John Hutar, big supporter, who is general manager of Dinah's Garden Hotel. John, thank you for being here tonight representing our executive committee. We want to thank our sponsors. First National Bank, our platinum sponsor, supports us every single year. And our media sponsor, the San Mateo Daily Journal, really comps all the ads on the event. I think many of you saw the ads in the paper, and they're just an awesome partner for us. We have some other major sponsors. The Westin San Francisco Airport Hotel, this property has been amazing to us. Steven Santana, assistant GM, has been great. Director of catering, Vicki Itzel, oh, she's here. Vicki, raise your hand, is a superstar. She's a superstar. And really, not only does the hotel give us a very generous deal because of all of you, all of our honorees, but they even provide referee shirts for the servers. Who does that? That's pretty cool. You have to admit it, right? You don't have to thank for every sponsor, but PSAV, for any of you in the industry who have ever done an event, audiovisual can be quite pricey. PSAV comps all the AV for this entire event. Again, a labor of love for all of you superstars, so thank you, PSAV. And Ace Parking, I think most of you know you may validate your parking. That's a big deal. Free parking. So on the Peninsula, that's a big deal. And then another thing to mention, you see the beautiful plants on your tables, the centerpieces. Lane Palms from Scapes Landscape Company, the owner, donates those because her brother was one of last year's inductees. And so she's continuing to do that. It's a great tradition. They're beautiful plants. And since this will come up later, I'm sure, if you are an inductee, you may take the plant. If there's no inductee at your table, the closest birthday to today gets to take it home. Got that? Okay. So let's give a big round of applause to all of our sponsors. We could not have done it without them. Now we have a few more thank yous tonight. Oh, they're all talking about the centerpiece and the birthdays. I should have held off. So if we may, I know you're still working on the flowers. We want to do a few more thank yous tonight. Everybody worked out the centerpieces? We'd like to thank Bradley Whitkey. Brad, would you raise your hand in the back of the room? Brad is an awesome photographer helping us here tonight. And if you want to see the most beautiful pictures of the Peninsula you have ever seen in your life, go to his website, Bradley Whitkey. He is amazing. Thank you, Brad, for being here tonight. Stanford University, Bob Wilmot, would you raise your hand, please? Bob used to be involved on the ticketing and sales side of the organization. He's now running what I'm not supposed to call the museum, but it's basically yell it out, Bob. Home of Champions. So Bob handles that. They've expanded that at Stanford. We invite you to go and take a look at that. And it was Bob responsible for giving 2 tickets to each of you for the April 28th baseball game at Stanford. You find those at your place tonight. College of San Mateo, Fred Baer and Andreas Wolf gave you tickets to the opening home football game, and CSM President Mike Clare is here tonight. Mike, do you want to raise your hand and give a wave? As well as the District Chancellor, Ron Galatolo. Thank you for being here. One person who's not here tonight is Mitch Postal, president of San Mateo County History Museum. It is his 37th anniversary, so we're giving him a pass. But it's Mitch and his museum that will be displaying a duplicate set of winner plaques in the museum. So for all of you winners, everyone who goes to that museum will learn about you every year, any visit. We want to thank Bridget Michelson, Peninsula TV, executive director in the back, and the Penn TV team. Have a Party Pros, excellent DJs, Joe Sheldon and Kathy Schmidt. You never have to worry if they're handling your music, believe me. And I think that's about it for the thank yous, except for our prize donors. Please hold your applause. We want to acknowledge these people. All of the following have donated prizes for the drawing later tonight. 37 North Restaurant at the Doubletree SFO, the Aloft Hotel, the Beach House Hotel, Half Moon Bay, represented here tonight, Best Western Plus Pacifica, Courtyard by Marriott, San Mateo Foster City, Costa Noa Lodge and Resort, Crown Plaza SFO, Dinah's Garden Hotel, Four Seasons Silicon Valley, Hillsdale Shopping Center, Hilton Garden Inn San Mateo Marriott, San Francisco Airport Marriott Waterfront, the shops at Tanforan, and Moonstar Restaurant. Let's give them all a big round of applause. Thank you for donating. Okay, we're getting to the program. I know you're anxious to get to the inductees. We do want to acknowledge one elected official here tonight. Daly City Council member Glenn Sylvester, I believe, is here tonight at the table over here. Thank you for being here. We appreciate that. One thing I did want to mention, we know that friends, family members, acquaintances, alumni, former students who were coached by the winners tonight love to be here. But once in a while, a company steps forward with no affiliation whatsoever to a winner, just out of the goodness of the company's heart. And Moonstar Buffet Restaurant has taken an entire table tonight of 10 just to pick out 8 very special athletes from Mills High School and their chaperones. And so let's give that Moonstar a big round of applause for being so supportive. And we know you're going to be very well behaved back there tonight, right? We're looking at it. I want to thank a few of the Bureau team members here this evening who've worked very hard on this event. It doesn't just happen, believe me. Stephanie Swackhammer, Manager of Community Outreach and Partnerships, who oversaw the entire project. Stephanie, you want to give a wave? There you go. Jessica David, a CSM student who is our special projects assistant and with us through the summer, who did some heavy lifting on the event. Awesome job. Marie Ivich, our film commissioner. And interestingly, even though we're all about hospitality, everyone always wants to know about the movies and the commercials and everything being filmed here, but she's sworn to secrecy. We do a lot of filming here. Crystal Hayes, our sales assistant, also here. So thank you, Bureau team, for coming here tonight. Only some of our team. I want to acknowledge a few past winners in the audience tonight. Please stand when I call your name. Peter Diepenbrock, Fred Baer, John Horrigan, whom we surprised a few years ago, John Pay, and Bruce Van Alstine. Congratulations, past winners. We're so glad when you come back to honor us. Fred, you didn't stand up. I didn't see you stand up there. So here is how tonight's program is going to work. And I know you're all ears, and then everyone, human nature, you're all going to turn to each other and say, what did she say? So here we go. John Horrigan, our chief judge, will introduce each inductee in alphabetical order. Each inductee will have up to 3 minutes to speak. After 3 minutes, in the style of the Academy Awards, music will play. Joe is going to you'll see. It starts very gently, gets a little louder, gets a little louder. Pretty soon, we have a Vanna White come and escort someone off. Each inductee will receive his or her award plaque, duplicates to be kept at the History Museum, and congratulatory resolutions from U.S. Representative Anna Eshoo or Jackie Spear, State Senator Jerry Hill or State Senator Scott Wiener, State Assembly Member Kevin Mullen or Assemblyman Mark Berman or Phil Ting, the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors or Santa Clara County Board of Supes, and the appropriate city or town mayor. A lot of certificates and honors to these people. Brad Whitkey will take a quick photo of each recipient with John over here with the plaque, the grip and grin. And then, after the induction of all of our winners here tonight, we will do a raffle followed by a group photo on that side of the room in front of the drapes. So we can help you through it later, but that's how it's going to work. After the group photo of this year's winners, we ask past inductees to join this year's winners for a photo of the current and past winners. It's always nice. Now the TV portion. People are always interested in this. Peninsula TV is San Mateo County's cable TV station. You have information on your tables about the channels, when the programs will air. We've also emailed it out, and we will email it out again following the event. So you'll get a YouTube link, the dates of the airings, so you're able to watch yourselves on the show and watch your honors bestowed. The event will be shown multiple times on Penn TV and will be live on Penn TV's website and on YouTube. And if you care to purchase a DVD later, those will be available from Penn TV. With that, the housekeeping items are over, and it's my pleasure to introduce an old friend, longtime friend, I should say, founder of the San Mateo County Sports Hall of Fame, now the Peninsula Sports Hall of Fame, sports writer for the San Jose Mercury News, former sports editor for the San Mateo County Times, John Horrigan.
Before we start, I think it would be appropriate if John Pay one more time showed us his sport coat. John, would you? I'm not sure what era that's from, John, but it's awesome. Thank you. We keep doing this because it's important. We do this event every year, every spring, because as San Mateo County and the Peninsula changes, goes through growth, things come and go, we think it's important to keep some history alive. It's part of our heritage sports. Competitive sports is part of who we are. We all grew up with it in one way or another. Thank God for Title IX, by the way. Without that, I seriously doubt if people like Caroline Clark and Julie Middleton would be here tonight. That's probably the biggest difference in my 55 years of covering Peninsula sports and activities. That occurred in the early 70s, and it's never been the same since, and it's all been a plus. So let's get started. Oh, one piece of good news. I was reading a little history the other night, and about 100 years ago, 110 years ago, if there was an event like this, speeches would go on for 2 hours. It was amazing. There was no TV, there was no radio, there was no Twitter, there was no Facebook. So people had to sit and listen, and I suppose drink heavily while they listened for 2 hours to Abraham Lincoln, who had a lot to say, but 2 hours. We don't do that. We operate under the Dennis Richmond rule. Remember Dennis Richmond? Yes, outstanding TV guy on Channel 2. Everybody wanted to watch Dennis Richmond at 10 o'clock. Well, we absolutely adhere to the Dennis Richmond rule. We will get you out of here to watch that 10 o'clock news for sure, if not well before. So, let's start. Isaac Carson. We're doing it in alphabetical order. Now, to be brutally frank, and I think you'll all agree, blazing speed is not necessarily a hallmark of San Mateo County athletics. We have it, but we don't have a ton of it. So when we have somebody like Isaac Carson in our midst, we pay attention. And in the early 80s, he was a gifted hurdler at Jefferson High School in Daly City. Arguably, one of the fastest athletes ever to come out of Jefferson, which has a long and outstanding history, by the way. So he was a section champion, he was a league champion, He went to Nebraska, where he's still in the record book for relays, sprints, and so on and so forth. But I think what's most important about a man like Isaac Carson is he represented his family, his school, his community, and certainly himself with dignity and grace. And he's here tonight.
So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on.
Wow, thank you. That was great. I was reading somewhere on the website about inductees in the Hall of Fame, and it mentioned something about athletes that inspire others. So I wanted to take the time to talk about a couple of people who inspired me throughout my years in high school and in college and now as an adult. One of the people that inspired me was an athlete that I ran with. He was extremely fast. I'll just say it, not as fast as I eventually became, but he was extremely fast, and he was my first hurdle, my first challenge. I had to beat this guy. Each track meet, 1, 2, and 3, we would place 1, 2, and 3. He would be first. There would be another guy that's second, and then I would be third. And that's my buddy over there, Julio Gutierrez. Now, Julio inspired me to become better than what I was. Julio inspired me to work out harder. Not knowing this, but I just wanted to beat him. No matter what I did, I just wanted to beat him. I eventually, at the end of my freshman year, I moved up a notch. I took second. He still took first. I took second. But he was one inspiration for me. Another inspiration was a late coach, Mike Rueda. He coached at Jefferson High School, and he passed away my senior year. Mike Rueda taught me one of the most important lessons, which is to never give up. Don't be afraid to fail. And understand if you fail, you have to learn something from it. Whether you fail or you succeed, if you don't learn anything from it, then it is a failure. And I'm currently, I have my bachelor's degree, my master's in education, and I teach my kids about failure and how that leads to success and never giving up. And Mike Rueda taught me that. It was kind of harsh. I remember being injured, and we sat down and we watched a race. It was one of the big track meets that we had for the year. And he said to me, after the guy won the race and collected his medal, he whispered to me, "How does it feel knowing that that guy has your medal?" And it hurt. But it inspired me to always work out, make sure that I was prepared, make sure that I stretched before every track meet, make sure that I ate well. But quite honestly, it was 15 through 18, so eating well just meant I was going to have lettuce on my Big Mac. And instead of having a candy bar, I'd have a banana. I still had the candy bar, but I had the banana also. Lastly, a reporter. His name is Mark Foyer. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that name correctly. Mark Foyer inspired me with his typewriter. And that goes to speak on how long ago I ran, because he was actually using a typewriter. Mark Foyer, I would make sure that I got the newspaper after every track meet to make sure my name was in that newspaper. And if it didn't make that newspaper, I worked out harder and harder so that I can make that newspaper. And if I did make the newspaper, I continued to work out harder and harder than before, because I wanted to keep my name in that newspaper so that everyone would know who I was. So, Julio Gutierrez, Mark Foyer, and Mike Rueda, both examples of why I'm here tonight. They pushed me. So I want to thank them. I want to thank the Peninsula Hall of Fame and everyone that voted for me this night. Thank you.
Isaac just mentioned Mark Foyer. And Mark is a sports writer. He was the sports editor of the Half Moon Bay Review. But 3 years ago, he became seriously ill. The doctors didn't diagnose it right away, and the illness progressed to the point where he came very close to passing away in the spring of 2015. Now, Mark is recovering now in Oakland. It's been a long 3-year process. The name of his affliction, I hope I pronounced this correctly, is Guillain-Barré syndrome. It affects the nervous system in a terrible way, and if it's allowed to progress, it can be fatal. But fortunately, Mark is making some progress. Mark was very instrumental in making sure that Isaac Carson and Julie Middleton got their proper respect from the Peninsula Hall of Fame. And I'm hoping that within a year or two, Mark will be able to attend this event. We're going to visit him on Easter Sunday, and we're going to bring best wishes from all of you. Caroline Clark. Now, we've talked about Title IX a little bit. Caroline, she's a young person who had no idea, probably, what went before. A person like Caroline, a tall, gifted athlete in the pool, would have struggled before Title IX to have any impact at the high school level at all. However, she may have been a great AAU performer. I don't think we can predict that. But when you look at her record at Sacred Heart Prep and UCLA and in the Olympics, it is staggering how good she is, the records that she set, and her accomplishments. I want to get it right, so I'm going to read just a couple of things. In 2 years at Sacred Heart Prep, she scored 141 goals, and she was an All-American. At 6'2", she was a 3-time All-American at UCLA, where she had another 189 goals. So what we're talking about here is a scoring machine, a powerhouse in the pool. And I might add that area, which is quite near Stanford University, Menlo School, Sacred Heart Prep, Menlo Atherton High School, Palo Alto High School, Castellea, all that whole area still produces outstanding swimmers and water polo players. So Caroline, would you come up and talk to us, please?
If you didn't get by my bio, I'm super competitive and I really want to win the jet ski, so I'll try to make it short. Yeah, I was so honored and so excited to be here tonight. Up until my brother-in-law lovingly walked in and said, "What's it like peaking at 27?" And that's a tough reality to hit. No, and jokes aside, I'll repeat myself. I am so honored to be here. I remember getting the email that I was going to be inducted, and I read the names of my class members, I guess you would say, and I thought the email was like an error, or maybe like a joke. I'm just so in awe of being in all of your guys' presence. I may be one of the younger representatives to our class of 2018, but I definitely... Again, I feel so blessed and honored to be here. So I want to say thank you to everyone. There's some staff members here from Sacred Heart Prep. I grew up in the area, so I'm homegrown, and to kind of get this honor in my backyard is especially meaningful. So I want to thank everyone here from Sacred Heart Prep, my family over in Table 10. Most of you guys were there with me in Rio, which was a dream realized. And I think I look at the nominees or inductees and the list of folks who came before me. And I think my challenge to myself is to just give back to the sport as well as you guys have all done for your respective sports. Being the only water athlete in this class, I will challenge you guys to maybe like a little swim off or something. I think, I'll hold my own in that realm. But again, I'm just so honored and humbled to be up here, and thank you. Thanks.
Caroline brings up a good point. She said she was homegrown. There's a lot of that around here. And I think sometimes I, just like a lot of people, we just kind of take it for granted that we're surrounded by excellence. We are. We're surrounded by excellence. When you look around the room and you see some of these folks, I mean, it really is quite staggering. The number of Olympians who have come out of San Mateo County and the Peninsula, the number of All-American athletes. In fact, if you look at your program, and I'm sure some of you have, there's a list of all of the members of this Hall of Fame. Goes back to 1989, and so now it's pushing 300 people. And when you look at the names, you go, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know he or she was such and so. And it's all true. I mean, I remember quite clearly watching Tom Brady as a high school kid over at Sarah on West 20th Avenue. And I'm watching him and I'm thinking, oh, that's interesting. But his sisters are much better athletes than he is. He's got 3 sisters. He's got 3 older sisters. They were all great athletes at Hillsdale and San Mateo. And he's playing, poor Tommy, he's playing against Bellarmine as a junior. Every other play he's getting sacked. So we're watching going, yeah, he's all right. Who knew? Who knew that we were watching excellence in the future? So we're very lucky. I've often said, you put San Mateo County, you put the Peninsula, you put all these people from the Hall of Fame, you put them in the middle, put the whole thing in the middle of Iowa or Wyoming, maybe even Nebraska, Isaac, it would probably dominate the whole state. So we're very fortunate. All right, Jack Daniels, Sequoia High School, another Olympian, and also a teacher and an expert in the mechanics and the discipline of running, especially long-distance running. Now, that's one of the beauties of what Ann and the rest of these folks do. They know that it's the teachers and the coaches who help to create and nourish the athletes. Coaches are teachers. That's what they are. It's not fully appreciated by parents and grandparents as we watch the offspring compete. We always think we know more, but with Jack Daniels, we don't. His expertise, his record of productivity at the national and international level is unsurpassed. I'm going to just read one item. He's running coach at a college in New York, SUNY in Cortland. His teams have won 8 NC2A Division II championships and 31 individual crowns. He's written books, he's written treatises. He's an expert in his field. And I think that makes him rather unique. Jack Daniels, please come and talk to us.
Well, Well, I have to admit, this is an honor. Thank you very, very much. It all started when I was in high school at Sequoia High School in Redwood City. And you can't believe it. We had a colored shorts program in physical education class. You wore different colored shorts based on how good you were or what year in school you were. And when you were a blue and wore blue shorts, you had 2 tests each year. And if you did a certain score on those tests, you got gold shorts. And in my graduating class of 550 seniors, 10 of us had gold shorts. And 6 years after graduating from high school, 3 of those 10 were in the Olympics.
Whoa.
Because they were fit. And I've become a real fitness buff myself. I think this country's going downhill in fitness, and we've got to do something about it. We've proved over and over again that being physically fit helps you avoid different injuries and illnesses, and it improves brain function, believe it or not. And to get gold shorts was not good, and everything I've ever accomplished was because of my gold shorts at Sequoia High School. That's absolutely true. And I went to school a year after my graduate school here, a year in Sweden, to a very highly regarded fitness school. And one of my professors and I were really good friends about fitness. And I love his quote. He says, you know, when we have a baby, all they want to do is crawl. And as soon as they can, they want to crawl and run. And all they're doing is eating, sleeping, or exercising. Then we send them to school, and all they hear is sit still and keep your mouth shut. And we've got to get over that. We've got to get back to producing gold shorts again. You want to know what it took? You want to try to get a gold? I've written them down here. 18 chin-ups, palms away. 24 bar dips between parallel bars, 120-yard dodge run in 26 seconds, 300-yard shuttle run in 49 seconds, 34-foot 8 triple jump, 20 burpees, one-handed, alternating hands in 30 seconds, 150-yard swim in 2:28, and a 20-foot rope climb, arms only, from a seated position on the floor in 11 seconds. I can remember a gold medalist in the Olympic decathlon who couldn't make the gold shorts. And we've got to get back to that, and I'll do whatever I can to get us back to that. I appreciate all this about the fitness. I've been really lucky to go to 2 Olympics and 3 World Championships, but it was all because of my gold shorts. It really was. I give them all the credit. Frank Griffin, thank you very much.
Folks, I don't know about you, but I don't have gold shorts. And I'm tired. I got tired listening to all those exercises. And my waist size is something that I really don't want to talk about. That is one vital person, I must say. Our next inductee is another product of hard work and dedication and a great family background, great teachers. And Julian Edelman might be an example of a person like Isaac who just would not take no for an answer. Well, he's too small. No, he's not. He's too slow. No, he's not. I remember, in fact, I was talking to his mom about this earlier. It was, I think it was 2003. Woodside High, where he was attending, was having a tough football season. some things went south. And they were playing Burlingame High on a Friday night at Burlingame. And we were in the press box watching. And a lady from Woodside was sitting next to us. She was doing statistics, but almost every other play, she was screaming at the coaches, the Woodside coaches, to change quarterbacks. And sure enough, Woodside was changing quarterbacks. They were going back and forth between two guys. One of them was Julian Edelman. So we're watching this thing, and we're thinking, oh, this is just a nightmare. These guys just aren't very good. And they were getting crushed week after week. So all of a sudden, the next year, new coaching staff, half the team is the same, but they only have one quarterback now, Julian Edelman. That year, 13-0, Central Coast Section Championship. Julian Edelman goes on to CSM. He's quarterback, 5'11". He goes on to CSM, plays quarterback, sets some records, does a great job, winds up at Kent State for several years. You know the story. Now he's with the Patriots, but he's not a quarterback. He's a wide receiver and a return specialist. He was injured last year. It's a great story. It really is a great story. There are some common threads. Tom Martinez, the late Tom Martinez, coached Julian at CSM along with Larry Owens. And Tom Martinez also was a quarterback coach tutor for Tom Brady. So there are some common threads, and now Julian plays with Brady in New England. Quite an amazing story, an amazing guy, rehabilitating a serious injury. He's going to come back, I think. Maybe he'll talk to us about that. Julian, come on up.
Thank you. Simply the Best. My dad loved that song, so that was pretty awesome. And my dad has a pair of gold shorts, so I'm a firm believer in the gold shorts. I've been gone from the Bay Area for, I think, 13, 14 years. I went to Kent State, and then I've been in Boston for the last 10 years. And, a lot of the competitiveness and everything I've learned started here, Redwood City 49er, going to Woodside High School, then going to College of San Mateo, and then off to Kent. I learned so many important, valuable things through this thing we call sport. I've seen 6 or 7 coaches I've had here today. I've got Coach O from CSM. Coach Velskow was my JV coach at Woodside. Coach Nick was my senior year coach. Coach Newton coached me at the Lions Bowl, the All-Star game. My father, he coached me. Mike, he coached me in Pop Warner. So, this is a big deal to me. I just want to say congratulations to everyone else that has been inducted this year. It's an absolute honor. You got medalists, you got stud coaches, you got it all. So, competitiveness is something that's been in my blood. Like they were saying, I've heard the word no a lot, and the way I've always tried to overcome that was just worry about what's on my plate at that moment in my life, and not worry about what's being said, not worrying about what I can't control. And it's got me to where I'm at now, and I'm looking to take it and keeping it going. So if you remember me, just remember, tough times don't last, tough people do, and thanks for having me, guys.
want to add one thing before we move on. Jim Hartnett is here, the head of Samtrans. I was sitting next to Jim, an old friend, and apparently Jim coached Julian in the 4th grade for basketball, and Jim said it's all due to his leadership of the basketball team in the 4th grade that Julian's as big a success as he is.
Our next inductee is Jeremy Lin, Palo Alto High School and Harvard University. This young man went to Pali rather anonymously at first, but as he grew, as he became adept, basketball was clearly in his future. And when he was a senior, he and his teammates and coaches produced one of the greatest upsets, I think, in California state championship history. They faced off with Mater Dei of Anaheim in Sacramento for the CIF, I believe it was Division II championship. Mater Dei is a sports factory. Mater Dei is like a small college. It's the largest co-ed Catholic high school west of St. Louis. They produce outstanding men and women athletes like nothing. It's incredible. Palo Alto took them on. They were heavy underdogs. And Palo Alto beat them. And Jeremy Lin was the motor that drove the Vikings that day. It was a spectacular performance. They sliced them up. Mater Dei had 2 guys who were, pushing 7 feet. Lin just sliced and diced. It was something to watch. And of course, he wasn't heavily recruited. He wanted to go to Stanford right across the street. They wanted him, but they didn't want to give him a scholarship. They wanted him to walk on. He qualified to go there quite nicely. But they didn't offer him a scholarship. He was admitted to Harvard. Not a bad second choice, by the way. Whoa, Harvard. And he played basketball there, became an outstanding player, wound up in the NBA. Now, he suffered an injury too, so he's been on the shelf for a while. But he has he got a tremendous contract from, I think it was Dallas a couple of years ago. In any event, Jeremy Lin is another young man, a lot like Julian Edelman, I think, who proved the doubters wrong. Who's going to accept the plaque for Jeremy? Oh, Jeremy's dad is here. Okay, please come up. Oh, Peter Diepenbrock is with him as well. Peter was Jeremy's high school coach.
Jeremy's father's a little shy, so I'm going to say a couple words. It is funny how so many people here are intertwined and so many relationships go lots of different ways. I remember noticing in Jeremy, when he was a freshman, he played JV basketball, and just had a chance, by chance, was looking at his scorebook and saw that he went head to head with Julian Edelman his freshman year. So I thought that was interesting. Who would know 2 former pro athletes on the court there in 2002? But obviously Jeremy's story, everybody knows the story very well. I just thought I'd add a couple of little tidbits that kind of describe who he is and how he became to be the athlete and the success that he is. I'll never forget his freshman year. Just got to the school, and kids were just kind of gathering in the gym, and people were talking about. I was only in my 4th or 5th year at the time,
and they were talking about, Palo Alto High School and what they were doing there. And I remember, saying something like, well, the basketball program here has done, pretty well too. I mean, is that, you're aware of that? And, is that, something you're aware of? And Jeremy looks at me and he's like, I didn't come here for the science department. I just thought that was such I've always referred back to that because I do think that says a lot about him. Obviously a very academic and bright young man that did very well at Harvard, but Jeremy has always been about basketball and competing in basketball, and that's something that, just kind of who he is and everything that he's done since his freshman year. And high school obviously was a great success. His 3 years at Palo Alto High School varsity, his teams were 86-8 over 3 years, won three section championships and obviously a state championship. But the things that really jump out to me about Jeremy were his junior year. He actually had a significantly better team than his senior year. Had a bunch of really good seniors. They won 30 games by an average of 26 points a game, and just dominated. And the night before we were playing Midi in the section championship, Jeremy, always working on his game, was playing at the YMCA, and went up for a layup and got pushed into the wall and broke his foot. And so he calls me at 11 o'clock that night, and he's like, my foot's broken, I'm not going to be able to play in the section championship. And the team was so talented that they were able to, win that game and win a couple of NorCal basketball games and get to the NorCal championship game, and lost to a very good Oak Ridge team. And then when we came back for his senior year, we lost all these seniors, and we only had about 6 juniors coming back that were going to be seniors, but we lost a lot of talent. And I'll never forget a player, one of the best players in the area from a local rival school, was going to transfer to Palo Alto High School. And it was big news because we were going to have, some depth and a starter as a center. And I never forget talking to Jeremy about it over the summer, and Jeremy goes, he's a nice player, but I really don't want him to come because then, one of the guys that's here won't be able to start, or won't get as much minutes. And I was like, are you kidding me? But to me, that just says a lot about Jeremy and who he is, and importance of relationships and loyalty, and that just says a lot about him. The last thing I want to say as the music gets going here is the thing that really separates Jeremy and has really made him into the player that he is his ability to rise to whatever situation he's in. The last 2 years, Palo Alto played in the NorCal championship game and couldn't quite get it done. And I truly believe it's because we didn't have a player like Jeremy that was just ready for the moment, ready to rise to whatever the situation called for. And I think that's the thing that really separates him. Yes, he's a great athlete and has a lot of ability, but his ability to rise to whatever the situation is at that time has really separated him from all the other athletes I've coached. So thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I'm still flustered by those gold shorts, I'm sorry. Our next inductee is somebody who came along too soon. If Julie Middleton was 15 years old today, college scouts all over Northern California would be down at San Mateo High watching this amazing female athlete just dominate high school girls basketball, and she was a great track athlete too, but basketball was her thing. At San Mateo, back in the day, this is in the early 1980s. This is just at about the time that competitive girls' sports in San Mateo County was really starting to become a big deal. And she averaged 29 points a game in high school. She could rebound. I mean, she was the best. She was the best in the area. And if she had the benefit of coming along 30 years later, 35 years later, there's no telling what that star would have looked like. Now, in fairness to everybody, in fairness to her, she did well. She went to Cal State Northridge. She played ball there. She was outstanding. Everything was good. But it's funny how timing really is everything. A lot of things that happen to everybody here is timing, luck, who your parents are, where you live, who your teachers are. A lot of it is chance, and you only really have one shot at some of this stuff. So Julie made the most of it, but I'll tell you what, it would have been fantastic to see her coming along 35 years later. Oh my. Anyway, Julie, come on up and talk to us, please. Right here. Right here.
Thank you, John, for that introduction. When I received the letter in the mail and I read it, I kind of flipped it up and flipped it down, and me. And when I spoke to John on the phone, he said similar things, and I knew that he understood what I knew and others knew from San Mateo, which was I came along at a time after Title IX, and because of Title IX, young girls got the opportunity to have a chance to compete in athletics and, compete at a higher level than had it ever happened before. But as a child, I want to go back to San Diego, where I grew up, and I began playing basketball with my brothers in the backyard, and my recreational coach kind of prophesied over me about that. He said, you know what? You keep doing what you're doing. The women just won the 1976 silver medal in the Olympics, and then from there, you're going to be able to play in high school. And from there, if you want to, you can play in college, and you can get a scholarship. So from there, my mother moved to the Bay Area, and I began school at Bowditch Middle School. And this is where I want to introduce my social studies teacher and my basketball coach and my track coach, Ed Schuler. Someone mentioned earlier how we all are intertwined, and we are like family here. Ed went on to referee me. He was an official referee and with us in high school. But in high school, he brought back some of his alumni and from the year before. And I wasn't sure what high school I was going to go to. So one of the young ladies, Tony Hadnot Gore, she was playing at San Mateo High School. And she was like, well, what school are you going to go to? And I said, well, maybe Hillsdale, because Debbie Chin from Hillsdale introduced herself first to me. But she was like, no, I think you're going to go to San Mateo. So this is how I ended up at San Mateo. And when I arrived at San Mateo, I met, I want to start off and go back a little bit. Linda Sue, who is here, she's been with me since the 8th grade. We competed against each other. I want to stand up for a minute. She was on my relay team in high school. And she would beat me. She beat me about half the season our freshman year, and we competed viciously from then on. And from there, Dee Dee Gladney is another athlete that was dominating in high school. And I'm saying all of this to say that, just like the other young man that came up, I was always third, third best. I kept coming in third my freshman year. And something took place in me coming into my sophomore year where I just took off. I don't know what it was. I just became this super fast human being. I don't know why basketball was my love, but I only did track to stay in condition. So I met Johnny Ferguson, and Johnny became my coach from my sophomore year to my senior year, and he's here tonight. And here he is. The Fergusons are well known in San Mateo County. We're like a family here in San Mateo, and we are all intertwined in some kind of way. And these people have become my lifelong friends, and as well as Ursula Yip, she's here, and she was on the mile relay team. I have to let you know, there's a lot of people from San Mateo, a lot of young girls and women that went on to do a lot of great things, and I was just one of them. I would like to say there was Dee Dee Gladney and Leslie Maxey. She's a 1995 Hall of Famer here, an Olympian. She's like my best friend. She's my sister. She encouraged me today. She was supposed to be here, but she caught the flu, and she was going to fly out all the way from Jersey and surprise me. But some of the things that she's told me about myself, I never realized that I was a role model for young girls. And I'm glad to know that I made a difference. And I'm still trying to make a difference. What I'm doing now is I'm a social worker in LA County, and I've been a social worker for 25 years. And what I'm most proud about with that is that I've been able to service families for 25 years, and I've worked a lot with a lot of at-risk youth, and I'm very proud because I see it as a calling. And I kind of compare it to athletics because a lot of it has to do with the ups and downs and how you overcome those things that is what matters. I want to thank all of these people, and I want to thank my late coach, Don Dooley. He's a legend. He's very influential. And also when I read that letter, something overcame me as if he was in the room. And I felt him smiling down upon me. And I just want to acknowledge him. And I want to acknowledge also Brenda Brewer, who without her, and she passed away last year, she was my rival, she was my nemesis, she was my friend, and she was my sister. And if anybody deserves to be where I'm standing right now, I would have to say it's Brenda. And I want to dedicate this night to her because she's a special person. And I know she would be very proud. She would be very proud of me for standing up here and receiving this, but I think that she's the real MVP. And I just want you to know that I'm very happy to have received this. This is a tremendous honor, and it means a lot to me and my family and all of my friends because, I don't know, to be acknowledged at this time in my life, it's gonna take me for another 50 years. Hopefully I'll live to be 100. And I will never forget this, and I just want to thank you all.
Julie makes a real good point about this is really a small town area. You'd never know it anymore, though. Things are changing rapidly for good or ill, or maybe it's neutral. I don't know. Things change. But a lot of the people in this room still kind of see the Peninsula as a small town place. We see Millbrae, kind of a village. We see San Carlos, just a small suburb. Now, when you have 10-story buildings there, that's a little different. Things are happening, okay? Some people like it, some people don't. I'm not going to judge. But one of the reasons we do this is that we want to keep some kind of a family atmosphere, I guess you'd call it a binding principle. This is a good thing, what Julie talked about. Another inductee is right in the same genre, Larry Owens. Larry Owens has probably touched more lives in San Mateo County, especially Redwood City, East Palo Alto, East Menlo Park, Woodside, San Mateo. He may have touched more lives than almost anybody in this room. Okay? Now that's arguable. It's arguable. But he's not just a football coach. Larry Owens is a community person. He's lived here for decades and decades. He gives of himself. He never did it for the money. He never coached for the money. He coached with Tom Martinez for a long time. They were like two peas in a pod. Tom passed away. Larry kept moving, kept coaching. His work at CSM speaks for itself. The wins and losses, exemplary. But it's the person. It's what he does, he still does, in the community. So Larry Owens is not just a football coach. He's not just a teacher. He is truly a mentor to young people. And it's great to have you here tonight. Come on up, Larry.
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
There we go. First of all, I want to just thank everybody. I want to thank the committee. I want to thank the Peninsula Hall of Fame for including me in this. This is such a great honor. It's unbelievable. And I think people have said it before when you got the email, it's like, you talking about me? I didn't understand it, but I'm so proud and honored to be here. I want to congratulate the 2018 class and give a special to Julian. Julian played for me, and I remember the day I tried to recruit him and going through it, and all of you guys seen him play. He's a hell of a young man, and I know his parents are proud of him, and so am I. Thank you. Like was said is, I've been coaching for a long time, 40 years over. Started at Woodside High School, where one of my teachers at Sequoia High School, I didn't get the gold shorts either, but I knew all about him. Gary Geegan was a teacher there, and Gary got me started coaching at Woodside High School. And, I forever thanks for him for giving me an opportunity to do that. And I coached against John Pay. I remember John while he was at Menlo, great player, great basketball player, football, baseball, the whole thing. So Gary, I know he's not here, but special in my heart. I want to thank him. I want to thank my family for showing up, coming. I appreciate you. I love you. None of this couldn't be done without you. Thank you. My mom, sisters, nieces, and nephews are all here, and I really appreciate it. I have my friends who showed up here, and I want to thank them also. It's a lot of thanks, but after 40 years, you got to understand, you got to thank some people, because I didn't do this all by myself. So my friends, thank you. From Diane Fischetti, from 9th grade math class all the way through down, we've been friends and close. I want to thank the people at Woodside for giving me an opportunity. Like I said, when I was an 18-year-old kid, I didn't know what I was going to do, but they gave me an opportunity to go over there and coach, and I had an opportunity to coach some very good athletes and very good players. I coached at Humboldt State. I want to thank Mike Dolby for giving me an opportunity to go there to be the defensive line coach. I spent 5 years in NFL Europe with Jim Kreiner, Bart Andrus, who hired me there, and it was a great experience. But I want to say a couple things about a special place, and that's the College of San Mateo. And I want to say this. When I first got the job in 1990, man, it was an honor, because an African-American male, young male, get an opportunity to run a program in community college. There was only 2 others in Northern California who got that opportunity, and I was the 3rd one, and I was ecstatic. So I want to thank Tom Martinez, the great Tom Martinez, and I don't know if you guys know him, but he's an awesome, awesome man. He passed away. He was my best friend. He taught me a lot. And like John said, we were 2 peas in the pod. We hung out together, go on trips, did things together, and I learned so much from him, and I just want to thank him. I want to thank Gary Dilly. Gary hired me. Like I said, an inexperienced guy who Probably those other guys have a lot more experience, but Gary hired me along with Tom. And Gary, I want to thank you. And Gary, please stand for one sec. Back there, he's our athletic director of the Division Dean. Thank you, Gary. Love you. You know, CSM has been so special. And I don't think people really probably understand how special it is, not just for me, but for a lot of people, because it gave a lot of people opportunities. We are fortunate right now, and I mean this with all my heart. We have great leadership at CSM. And Ron Galatolo is sitting here. Ron, stand up, please. He's our chancellor. Thank you. Mike Clare is here. Mike is the president of the college. Thank you. Andreas Wolf is not here. He's our AD. But I can just tell you this. It made my job a lot easier. And you guys have the right mindset of helping the athletes and the students throughout all the colleges, but especially at College of San Mateo. And it's been a great ride. And I just want to thank those people for making it such an awesome situation there. I want to also do this because where I'm at right now is very special. And I know there's athletes out there who played for me and coaches who are out there. Please stand for a second, because please, if you guys are staying, I see, come on, Jess. Danica, you guys play for me, softball girls. There's other guys there too. One of the things, I wanted to say this, because again, I would not be standing here if it wasn't for people like these people here and the people that coach. And I want to just thank them so much, because this, being me here, is because of you guys. And this wasn't built just by myself. There was a lot of people helping, and the athletes and the coaches that were here with me throughout the times, from Woodside all the way to now. I appreciate it, and thank you so, so much. Thank you, guys. And just finally, I'm trying to beat that music, so I want you guys to understand that. But thank you to my friends, my family, and everybody else involved, and anybody that I've forgotten. You know, please, thank you. This is a great honor. You just don't understand how important this is to me. I want to thank my beautiful wife, Tisha, for being my rock. Thank you very much, dear. I appreciate it. Love you. I'm trying to beat that music.
Who let the dogs out? 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 When the party was nice, the party was pumping.
I think Larry's a real good example of something that a lot of schools don't have anymore, a lot of student athletes don't have anymore. Consistent coaching. Qualified, consistent coaching. Coaches who stay and really know what they're doing, they're professionals. Larry's a great example of that. Decades of coaching. Consistent at CSM, coached a full generation of athletes there. When you went there, you knew what you were going to get. Our next inductee is another example of that. Bill Shine, Menlo School. So obviously you know how lucky you are that you have a coach who's been there and done that. He's a professional. He knows tennis like the back of his backhand. And you know what you're going to get. And either today or certainly this week was a milestone for Mr. Shine, his 1,000th win at Menlo. So, let me put it this way. In the history of San Mateo County, there's never been a tennis coach as successful, men and women, as Bill Shine, ever. Doesn't matter. Boys, girls, doesn't matter. He's successful. Now I want to get this right, so I don't ordinarily do this, but I'm going to read briefly. 43 league championships, 23 section championships, 18 Northern California titles. What more can we say about Bill Shine? Please come up and talk.
Boy, I thought my teams liked me until Julian Edelman showed up. Then they just pushed me away and wanted to go meet him. No, but good evening. I want to thank the Peninsula Sports Hall of Fame for this incredible honor. I would like to also congratulate my fellow inductees, who I am proud to be a part of. Such an amazing group. It's amazing. I want to thank my wife, Denise, who's been there the whole time with me from day one. It's just my biggest supporter. You don't get to have a night like this without a lot of help and support. I have been lucky enough to have plenty of both. You know, you only are as good as the people that are around you. And look at all the support I have. My brother flew in from Georgia. My brother-in-law, David, flew in from St. Louis. My brother, Damien, is here. It's just incredible. My team, my coaches at Menlo, it's just incredible, the support. Couldn't do it without you. It's just incredible. My family is here, my friends. It just seemed like everybody showed up. It means a lot to me. It really does. I want to thank the support of the Menlo School administration, head of school Than Healy, athletic directors Joe McDonald, Buffy Ward, and King Christian, to all my coaches that make me look good, David Wormuth, Kevin Connor, Mac Osborne, and Mike Tamas. I also want to thank Keith Peters of the Palo Alto Weekly, who kept track of all the record of our teams throughout this past 22 years. I've never been one that is really into records or what our record is at the time. All I want to do is just coach the team to get better every single day. I would like to thank my parents who are not here, and I know that they would be very proud of me, who instilled in me at an early age to be the best I could be. My mom would always say, if you get to the finals, you might as well win it. And my dad, he would always tell me over and over, son, just go out and have a good time. That's great advice, and I have never forgot that. Always have fun. I would like to thank the help of my two mentors, Dick Gould, my first coach and legendary coach at Stanford University, and Tom Shivington, who was my last coach in college. I learned the game of tennis and life from two of the best in the world at that time. All I do now is when I come across a problem, I just ask myself, what would Coach Gould do in this particular situation? And I just do it. Or I think about what I should say in this particular situation, and I think about Coach Shivington, and then I go say it. I owe everything to them. I want most of all to thank all the players who have played for me and made my job look easy. I look forward every day to be with them. I am very lucky to be able to be in a position to make a difference on young people's lives, both on and off the court. I've had a great week. They couldn't have a better week. My boys' team won the prestigious national tournament down in Newport Beach. It's the biggest, most prestigious tournament in the United States, and they pulled it off last weekend. Like John said, I got my 1000th victory yesterday, and I'm inducted into this wonderful Hall of Fame. I had a friend say, you got to go buy a lottery ticket. But I told him, no, I've already won the lottery. I get to work at Menlo, and I get to coach great girls and boys in their formidable years. I mean that so sincerely. I am the one who has received more on this journey than gave. I would like to think that we have done it the right way with hard work, fairness, integrity, class, and toughness. But let me be perfectly clear. We had and have the most fun of any teams out there. And remember this, it's all about the kids. This is for you, boys. Come on! Thank you very much.
I'm sure you've all seen those ads involving the most interesting man in the world. For quite a while, those were pretty good. I believe it was a beer ad. Can't remember. But Archie Williams might have been one of the most interesting men who ever passed through the College of San Mateo. Now, he only went to CSM for 1 year during the Great Depression in the mid-1930s, early 1930s. And CSM was a small, tuition-free school, 2-year school, located in downtown San Mateo at the corner of Baldwin and San Mateo Drive. The building is no longer there. It's a medical office building complex now that's connected to Mills Hospital. Archie Williams came to CSM from Oakland, came across the bridge every day, and he ran track there for 1 year. He was so outstanding that his coach at CSM wanted him to go to Stanford because Stanford had a great track program back in the day. For whatever reason, it didn't happen, but happily, he went to Cal instead. Perfect. He already lived in Oakland. He didn't have to commute anymore. So he went to Cal and immediately was a national 400-meter star, immediately. And he made the 1936 Olympic team, the great team that went to the Berlin Olympics. Now that might have been one of the most, let's see, how should we put this? Controversial Olympics, perhaps, because it was in Berlin and Adolf Hitler was running the show at that time. Needless to say, the Fuhrer was not thrilled about African American athletes. He lacked tolerance, to say the least. That was the Olympics when Jesse Owens dominated track and field, but he had a cohort. He had several cohorts, and one of them was Archie Williams. And his life from that point on was very, very interesting. World War II came around. He enlisted and he served with the Tuskegee Airmen, an all African American flying unit with the U.S. Army Air Force. Then when the Air Force branched out to its own service, he joined and he saw combat duty in the Korean War as a flyer. Then the war is over, he starts his civilian life, he becomes a teacher in Marin County, mathematics, computer science, among other things. An amazing career, an amazing person. There's a lot of material on him available to you online. If you want to read about his life, who he was, it's all there. It's one of the miracles of the internet. And you can read about this man, truly a wonderful person. In a way, it's really unfortunate that we never got to meet him in modern times because he was in Marin County and he never drew attention to himself. So we never had a chance to meet him. Very unfortunate. I believe his son is here tonight to accept the plaque. Maybe he can talk to us a little bit about his dad, what his dad did, what he meant to the family. Please come up.
Thank you so much. You know what, let's start off thanking the crew and everybody who made this put together, and the food. The food was off the hook, wasn't it? Really, really good. Really, really good. And thank you for the intro very much. And this is a profound honor for me. Truly, truly pleasurable. I want to thank my wife too, Sheila, who has got my back. Stand up, Sheila. Oh, there she is, okay. Okay, so anyways, Archie Williams, wow, what a history book. Unbelievable. You know, God is so good how he orchestrates and how he designs. I just love him so much. You know, I had a mom and dad that were married for 67 years. I grew up in Fairfax, Marin County, incredible community. And, you know, I never take a day for granted on how I was raised because of my mom and my dad and who they were. You know, it doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, black, homeless. If you live in the Bay Area, I mean, it's amazing, and we shouldn't take it for granted. I mean, there's people that come all over the world just to spend 2 or 3 days here, and we live here. So enough of that anyways. But about my dad, yeah, my dad, the history book, he, you know, the funny thing on what you said too, that he lived in Fairfax and didn't come out and talk about, because in all truth, really, track and field was nothing for my dad. He was extremely humble about it, and he was blessed and gifted that he could run. But you know what he wanted to do? He wanted to be an engineer. He wanted to be a flyer. He wanted to be an educator. So he goes to Cal, and what does Cal do in the 30s? Well, you know, and you're black, and you're one of the fastest men in the world. You know, Archie, my dad wasn't stupid, but the coach there, Brutus and all them, the coaches, they told him, I says, look, you're not here to be educated. Don't even think about being educated. You're here to run. You're here to run. So that's what he did. He ran. And he won a gold medal in 1936 Olympics, world record, and a 440 with Jesse Owens and Metcalf. And but he would tell you, and he really meant this, and he knew what they were doing because of the bureaucracy. But, you know, people would ask him, how are you treated over there in Germany? And my dad said, I was treated awesome. Better in Germany than I was in the United States. Now, he knew why, because Germany had that perception that they wanted to stay alive. And my dad knew that, but If there's anything that he talked about, he would never talk about the medal, never talk about running. He would talk about how well he was treated over there. So that was pretty amazing. I've seen footage, raw, real footage of the announcer, the Olympics. He's going around, and Archie Williams in block 1, and they're off. And there he goes, and he's passing round 1, and he's passing round 2, and oh my God, he's a Black Panther. And there he went and got the gold medal, you know? Stuff like that. So, but my real dad my dad, I know he's here, thanks Pops, he would want me to talk about his love for engineering, his love for flying. So he just wanted to be a flyer, man. And you know, in the 30s and 40s, black folks don't fly. In fact, he told me this one story. I'm getting late, huh? Getting this one story that that they were in the bomber, and back in those days, they would fly into big cow pastures and stuff. And they were in Germany or somewhere. The plane went down, and so all the white folks came to look up, and they're looking up in the thing, and they saw the black pilots, the bombardier, the shooter, the captain. Everybody's black, and they're going, who's flying the plane? Where's the white guy? So that's the way it was. So then when they started, thank God to Eleanor Roosevelt, we thank her to death because she's the one who put the program for the black cadets that, you know, were gifted and had passion for flying. So my dad was one of the first 5 black pilots of all time. Yeah. Yeah, he started in fact, that movie, George Lucas, that he had the tail wingers, that's about my dad. He's in that part of it, that's one of his characters is in there. So, yeah, that's that. And then quickly, if I could just say, and his main thing was education. So after doing all those things, he brought me and my brother out here, raised us in an incredible place. Educator for 30 years at Drake High School. So well loved and so well liked. In fact, can I have the gentleman stand up here? There's a gentleman here that I just met tonight. Doug, these are 2, I didn't even know this guy. He says, man, I'm here because not because he ran, but because he was my inspiration in teaching. So he taught for 30 years, and people just loved my daddy with a history book. So God is good. God is amazing. And I'm just glad I'm here, and it's just, you know, one day at a time, 1 second at a time. And again, thank you so much for your hospitality. God bless you.